Now, the Saudi Pro League season ended on Monday with Al Hilal, everyone's favourite, cruising to the title without losing a single game. The league dominated the headlines last summer, of course, because they lured some of the biggest Premier League names there, didn't they? Riyad Mahrez, Jordan Henderson, Ruben Neves. There was a big bid in, wasn't there, for Kylian Mbappe? And, of course, they're going to try and continue that. We're hearing names like Ederson and Mohamed Salah and Kevin De Bruyne are all linked. I tell you what, Ali, I'm going to say it now. You know, when we're going to hear from Ben Jacobs in a moment, but you look at the attendance there, and they are pitiful. Yep. I mean, pitiful. Yep. You know, if you're outside of the top four, you're not getting more than 10,000. And for instance, Steven Gerrard's Al-Ettifaq averaged 7,300. That was less than Mansfield in League Two last season. The side who finished mid-table, like Al-Khalij 11th, they averaged less than Walsall last season. And the bottom club, they averaged 1,671. That was less than anyone in the top four divisions in England. So if you're going to go to that league, hold your hands up and say, I am going because I am the ultimate mercenary. Absolutely. Don't give us all this rubbish about the standard of football, you know.
No, and that's, excuse me, Jeff, that was a thing that annoyed everybody, really, whether it was the golfers or the footballers. I don't have a problem with going. I don't have a problem at all. Go and make a few quid for your families and your future and your families. Not a problem with it at all. But don't kid us on. You know, don't say you're going for the benefit of the game. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do the next thing. Just be honest and say you're going for a few quid. Yeah. Fair play to you.
Absolutely. Let's get more on this now. We're joined by talkSPORT Saudi Arabian correspondent. Morning, Ben Jacobs.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, guys. Didn't realise you were an Al Hilal fan, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, anybody other than Al Nassr, that's what I was thinking, you know.
Ben, let me tell you, he's jumping on the bandwagon. He's just a fan of the winning team, that Stelling. Yeah. And he saw they won the league with about 36 points or something, and that's how he jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ben, you know, I think I'm with the majority of people in this country. I'm totally ambivalent to anything that happens in the Saudi League. I've got no interest whatsoever. But what strikes me is looking at those attendances that in Saudi, people haven't really got much interest either.
I think we have this glory culture in Saudi Arabia, and that's partially because with the league still evolving, most in Saudi Arabia that would claim to be football fans would rather watch a Real Madrid game or a Premier League match in a cafe rather than go to the stadium and watch a local team. And this is partially why when the World Cup comes in 2034 and in the gap between, football is being built in Saudi Arabia. But as you rightly say, a lot of people, even if you're in Steven Gerrard's Al-Ettifaq area in Dammam, are a Ronaldo fan and Al Nassr or an Al Hilal supporter waiting for Neymar to get fit. So you have this complete paradox where Al Nassr or Al Hilal will go into the national team stadiums and they can sell out up to 60,000 for a match, but Al-Ettifaq might only have a few thousand. So it's about evening out the attendances and growing a culture beyond just the big four clubs.
Yeah.
Ben, it's not unusual, clearly, in any country, to tell you the truth, for a team to dominate, because we see it happening in countries throughout the world. However, Al Hilal won the league, deservedly so, by 14 points from Al Nassr and an incredible 31 points ahead of Al Ahly, who had 65 points. And I'm looking down to Steven Gerrard's team, who actually got half the amount of points that Al Hilal got with 48 and finished sixth. I mean, surely that total domination can't be great for it either.
No, you need something that's a bit more evenly spread. And this is why I think when we head into the summer, you're going to see recruitment that strengthens other teams to try and close the gap. And that's where the central recruitment is really interesting, because the Ministry of Sport control the money. So in most teams, you would think if you do well, you can consolidate, you can dominate. Al Hilal are basically a Saudi Arabian Manchester City in many ways. But the central figures will make sure that others within the quotas available and within the money that they're prepared to distribute, get some of the other big names. So Al Hilal closed the gap. Al Ittihad, who were the defending champions, get the opportunity to give Karim Benzema a bit more support. And then you get a competitive league, as opposed to, like you say, one team running away with it. And then the international audience would have very little interest.
So, Ben, who's on the sort of Saudi shopping list this summer?
Well, I think first of all, they want Kevin De Bruyne, but the feeling is that he might stay at Manchester City. With Mo Salah, that's more one for 2025. There'll be an internal renewal potentially with Cristiano Ronaldo. Al Nassr, the Ministry of Sport, everyone in Saudi Arabia wants him to stay for another year. And part of that is because the international TV rights deal renews in 2025. So if he's there at the beginning of that cycle, 2025, 2026, so he would extend by a year, then you can sell that and you can bring in more revenue, and that will help the league grow, because ultimately they want a return on investment that is not just about promotion and tourism and buzz. They also do want to make some money eventually. Casemiro, Rafael Varane, 2 big targets, Ederson, possibly Alisson Becker as well. So 6 to 10 marquee signings, and maybe somewhere in the region of 25 foreigners. And the other club to look out for are Al Qadsiah, who are right next to Steven Gerrard's Al Ittifaq. They're owned by Aramco. They're tiny. They basically play on an athletics track at the moment with only a few hundred people, but they're newly promoted, and they're the ones that are trying for Jose Mourinho to manage them.
What's the chances of them getting them, Ben?
Depends how much money they're prepared to offer. It depends how quickly they're prepared to grow. You're going to see transformation. It was interesting when Jeff was sort of talking about Warsaw or Mansfield. These are teams outside of the big four that, because of the World Cup, are going to move very fast. So the ambition is going to be sky high. The infrastructure will take a season or two to try and catch up. But Al Qadsiah, in the next 5 to 7 years, are going to be building the stadium that will host World Cup matches in that part of the world. And slowly but surely, therefore, not in one season, but in 3 to 5 seasons, they will become a big player. And we wait and see whether the attendances and the infrastructure catch up with that ambition. But I think they stand a fair chance of getting Mourinho, not necessarily as manager, but maybe as a World Cup ambassador, maybe as a technical director, maybe as a strategic advisor. And this is the kind of split whereby instead of it only being about a club and Al Qadsiah, it's more about Aramco, the owners, or potentially PIF, or potentially the World Cup. There's always a bigger picture, broader, maybe non-Saudi based title that these big names could also take.
Ben,
I was just going to say, Jeff, I'm looking at this quote. I can't let Ben go with him with this quote. Obviously, Ronaldo scored 2 at the weekend. That's another record to reach 35, and it means he overtook the beautifully named Abderrazak Hamdallah's record of 34. And then Cristiano, Jeff, followed up with a quote: "I don't follow the records follow me." Yeah, yeah, right about that, Ben.
Maybe it's also, I don't follow the money follows me as well. Yes. It's a bit of both.
Yeah. Ben, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, mate.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.